For most of human history, we weren't alone, not even close. Earth wasn't just our world, it was a world shared with other human species, each one on their own evolutionary journey, shaped by different environments, different pressures, different fates. Some looked like us, some absolutely did not. Some were close cousins, some were fierce competitors, and a few stuck around long enough to pass their genes into us, genes that millions of people still carry today. And others? They vanished without a single trace. This is the story of when we met them, when modern humans came face to face with other human species. It's a web of encounters, dead ends, and lost relatives, and we are only beginning to understand how many we left behind. Let's start in Africa, our homeland, the cradle of our species. By 300,000 years ago, Homo sapiens were widespread across much of the continent, but in South Africa, deep inside a cave system called Rising Star, we weren't the only ones there. Meet Homo naledi. Now, naledi may not be the first ancient human that comes to mind. They're not Neanderthals, they don't get the same press, but they should because these guys are genuinely bizarre. They were small, about 4 feet 9 inches, around 88 pounds. Their brains, roughly the size of an orange. But here's where it gets weird. They had long curved fingers, shoulders built for climbing, like something still halfway up a tree, and yet their legs were just like ours, perfectly adapted to walking upright. They were a mosaic, a contradiction in bones, and they seem to have diverged from our lineage over 2 million years ago. That is an almost incomprehensible amount of time. But don't let that fool you into thinking they were primitive, because some evidence, controversial, yes, but compelling, suggests that Homo naledi may have deliberately placed their dead deep inside that cave, on purpose, as a ritual. That is not the behavior of a mindless animal. That is something closer to us. Dated to around 250,000 years ago, naledi lived during the same era our species was beginning to dominate Africa. That means we almost certainly encountered them, probably for tens of thousands of years. And I just want you to sit with that for a second. What did we think of them? Did we fear them? Did they fear us? Did we think they were spirits, demons, kin? Did we share a fire with them? We don't know. This one cave system in South Africa is the only evidence we have that this species ever existed. And yet, they were there, shadow humans, walking just outside the light of our story. Their extinction may have been quiet, but their mystery echoes louder than ever. Moving to West Africa, we run into something even stranger. Not all of our ancient relatives have names, or faces, or fossils. Some are only known by what they left inside of us, their genes. Geneticists have found traces of what they call ghost hominins buried in the genomes of West African populations. Segments of DNA that don't match us, don't match Neanderthals, don't match anything we've ever dug up. And the math suggests these mystery people split from our lineage over 700,000 years ago. Even earlier than the Neanderthal split, we have no fossils, no tools, no cave art, nothing. Just a ghost inside our DNA. And what's striking is how uneven this signal is. Some West African populations carry large amounts of this ghost ancestry. Others have almost none. This wasn't a single moment of contact. This was likely multiple encounters over long stretches of time. Cohabitation, interbreeding, relationships we will never fully know. Whoever these people were, they live on, right now, in living humans. They just have no name, no face, and no grave we've ever found. It is one of the most haunting mysteries in all of science. Now, moving just out of Africa, we hit the big one, the Neanderthals. And I need to say this clearly because pop culture has done them dirty for over a century. Neanderthals were not ape-like brutes. They were our cousins, our evolutionary cousins. Sure, they were stockier, stronger, built like linebackers, but they used tools, they wore clothing, they cared for their sick and injured, and some made art. These were people. Our ancestors first encountered Neanderthals in the Middle East over 200,000 years ago. Those early waves of Homo sapiens out of Africa eventually died out, but another wave, starting around 70,000 years ago, would find the Neanderthals again. And this time, things got interesting. Archaeological layers show signs of cultural exchange, similar tools, overlapping diets, shared hunting strategies. They were learning from each other, living near each other, and we know this now beyond any doubt. They were sleeping with each other, but it wasn't all kumbaya. At Shanidar Cave in Iraq, we found a Neanderthal who'd been struck by a projectile, right in the rib cage. The wound came from a lightweight, fast-moving weapon, possibly a spear thrower. a technology Neanderthals didn't have. It has been hypothesized that this Neanderthal was attacked by a Homo sapien. So, yes, some of those encounters ended in violence, but others led to children, hybrid children, and those people spread across the world. The result? Every single person of non-African descent alive today carries Neanderthal DNA, and many Africans carry trace amounts too, usually under 1%, through back migration. And here's something that surprises most people. Europeans don't even have the most Neanderthal ancestry. The highest proportions are found in East Asia. Genes from Neanderthals influence our skin tone, our immune systems, even some neurological traits. They're not gone. Not really. Most of us carry them every single day. Long before Neanderthals and Denisovans left their mark on us, there was Homo erectus, the original wanderer. Emerging nearly 2 million years ago, Homo erectus were the first of our kind to leave Africa. They spread across Asia. They settled in what is now Indonesia and China. They lived alongside Gigantopithecus, a primate the size of a gorilla, and the largest elephants that ever existed, and they thrived for over 1 million years. But here's where it gets interesting. We used to think they were gone long before we arrived. Recent evidence from Java suggests they may have survived until as recently as 108,000 years ago, and modern humans reached Southeast Asia around 70,000 years ago. You do the math. There may have been an overlap, a meeting of minds separated by almost 2 million years of evolution. On one side, Homo erectus, masters of stone tools and fire. On the other, Homo sapiens, with language, art, and abstract thought. Did they meet? We don't have proof, but we also have unidentified archaic DNA in modern human genomes that doesn't match Neanderthals or Denisovans. Could some of it be Homo erectus? What we do know is this. Shortly after modern humans arrived in Southeast Asia, Homo erectus disappeared. The longest surviving human lineage in history, gone. And then the story gets smaller. On the island of Flores in Southeast Asia, a tiny human species evolved in complete isolation, Homo floresiensis, nicknamed the Hobbit. Fully grown adults stood just over 3 feet tall. Despite their small brains, they crafted stone tools, hunted animals, and possibly controlled fire. They lived in an island ecosystem that felt pulled from a fantasy novel, hunting giant rats the size of rabbits, possibly butchering pygmy elephants called stegodon, and coexisting with Komodo dragons and massive storks. Let that sink in. Tiny humans hunting tiny elephants and giant rats while dodging Komodo dragons. This is what island evolution does. Large species shrink due to limited resources. That's called insular dwarfism. Small species grow with fewer predators. Everything goes sideways. Everything gets weird. The hobbits survived until at least 50,000 years ago. Modern humans had reached nearby regions by then. There is no direct evidence we met, but they vanished right as we arrived. And on Flores today, local myths tell of tiny forest people called ebugogo, small, human-like creatures who lived in the jungle. Some researchers wonder, are these stories ancient memories? Did our ancestors encounter these small hominins and pass down the story generation after generation until it became legend? Just north of Flores, on Luzon, the largest island in the Philippines, researchers found something else. Homo luzonensis, another small species between 3 and 4 feet tall, with curved climbing toes and fingers. Remains dated to 67,000 years ago. Modern humans were in nearby Borneo by 50,000 years ago, and like the hobbits, they soon vanished. Their ancestors had spent hundreds of thousands of years evolving on that island. We arrived, and they were gone. Maybe we tolerated them. Maybe we ignored them. Or maybe, darker thought, we hunted them. We will never know.